Hey guys, welcome to my first Java source code tutorial series, and in this series, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to be showing you how to program in Java inside and out. So by the end of this series, you should be able to program in Java. But in today's video, I'm going to be covering the basics of a compiler, a class, and how to print out text in Java. Some additional information, I'm going to be using the compiler Eclipse. If you do not know how to install a compiler, check out one of my other videos. It'll show you how to install compiler perfectly. So once you launch your compiler, you should get this. But this is a project, so I'm just going to delete it. So you should get you should get this window right here. Anyway, before I go and create my new project, I would just like to give you the basics of a compiler. A compiler is basically a software or a program that runs through your code and checks if there's any errors, so there will be no glitches when you run it. So a compiler, once you type in your code, it's gonna when you press run, it's gonna check through all your code. It's gonna transfer that code into binary or bits, and then after that, it'll transfer it and print it out onto your device, such as your laptop, your phone, or your clock, depending on whatever you want to program. So anyway, let's get started. You're going to go to File, New, Java Project if you're running Eclipse. You're going to name your project. I'm going to name it, let's see, tutorials. Finish. And then we're going to go ahead and create a new class. So I'm going to go File, New, Class. I'm going to name your class. I'm going to name it hello underscore world. Finish. And then you should get this. And before I start, I'm going to give you the basics of a class now. A class, think of it as a document that holds your code, so the compiler knows where to look when it's gonna debug or run through your code and see if there's any errors. So that's basically all there is to a class. There's a lot more stuff, but that we're going to be learning that a lot later, because this is just the basics of a class. So I'm going to be typing in the code, and once I'm done typing in the code, then I'm going to go through it bit by bit, and I'm going to tell you what each part of it does. So you can skip through this part if you want. I'm just going to be typing it. Alright, so that's basically all you need to create a, just print out hello world. So it's just 3 lines of code. So I'm going to be telling you what each part of it does. So first one is public. Public is basically a command that tells the compiler that it can be accessed by anybody. So it can be accessed by other classes, which we'll learn later, and it can be accessed by other users depending if you're making a program that has other users. The next one is class. Pretty self-explanatory. It's just saying that this is a class, duh. Now we have just the name of the class so it knows where to look. Now we have a curly bracket or curly braces, whatever you want to call it. And this means that public class holds whatever's in the curly brackets until you end it with this. Well, yeah, end it with the closing curly brace. So you always need to have this if it holds the whatever's inside it. And you always need to close it, or else there's going to be an error in the compiler. Next one, we already covered public. Static we're going to learn later, it's a bit more advanced. Void basically means that there's no return type. It means that it's not holding any value. So main's not holding any value. And now anything in brackets is always called an argument. So in this bracket we have string, And string we're going to be learning in the next video, I believe, and that is basically a line of words. And then you have these brackets right here, which are more arguments, and ARGS stands for arguments. Every single time you run or you code a new program, you always have to have these two lines right here, or else it'll not work. You always have to have these two lines right here, along with the closing brackets right here. So now we have the system.out.print. This basically means that you're printing out whatever's in the arguments. And in the arguments, if you want to print out text, it always has to be under quotation marks. So it's going to go system.out.print, and that's going to, now it knows that, oh, okay, I have to print out these words right here that are in quotation marks. Brings me to another point. There's two things part of the system.out.print. There's system.out.println, which stands for print line, and there's just regular print. So if I just go ahead and run print, then you're going to see right here that it, prints out hello world. Now, when you go ahead and run it with print line, you're going to see no difference. It runs with hello world. It's just the same thing as before. But what print line does is it automatically moves your cursor to the next line, as opposed to print where your cursor just stays on hello world. Okay, and that is actually basically all there is to my tutorial. Actually, no, I lied. I forgot about the most important part of any programming language, in fact. This semicolon right here. A semicolon tells the compiler that that's the end of the statement. So it's telling you that this is the end of the system.out.print line. So it's just telling the compiler that that's the end. Without it, you're going to get a syntax error, and it's not going to run it. So you always have to have a semicolon after a statement or a command that you typed in. Anyway, that's basically all there is to my tutorial. In the next one, we're going to be covering variables. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.